luckily for me, I was announced second. So I feel like if I were to be called in the 5th slot, I would have been like crapping myself from nerves. But I was called second. So I didn't really reach that point. I was just happy to be there. Couldn't believe it was the actual show. I love also how they panned over to the Philippines lettering. And the crowd was crazy. Like the cheers inside the Impact Arena were just unbelievable. To hear that much support. Every time I see this footage, I always notice my baby hairs. That's me doing a bad job with my hair. We were told that we have 30 seconds to say something about ourselves to the world, or to the judges. And that came with a lot of pressure because like in 30 seconds, that's like a gasp and a breath and it's over. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to say, my core of why I was there was always my charity work. So I just started to play with the thought of what if our country's children had the same type of support that, say, I was receiving in competing and achieving my dream. So this happened straight after opening statement. And you know what, I was a little bit nervous here because that's like a 50% cut. That's from 20 to 10. But I got called, I think, 4th. So again, I'm sure if I got called towards the end, I would have been much more nervous. So after top 10 was announced, we had to rush backstage and it was our first outfit change. So we had to change into swimsuit and that was crazy. I don't know how the staff did it, but out of the 95 girls, they got us 10, our swimsuits and our gowns into this small changing area backstage and it was chaotic. And I just remember waiting in the wings of backstage and just being like, oh my gosh, I'm in top 10. I loved our swimsuits. And just a bit of trivia, because during rehearsal, only 2 of those beautiful capes were available, so I never actually got to practice in a cape. When I walked down on stage, it was my first time ever using the cape or the sarong. So I was a little bit nervous that I might trip on it, but it didn't happen, thankfully. And then it's my favorite. Okay, so aside from being a title holder, I'm also a pageant fan, and every time I watch pageants, evening gown is always my favorite. I was so excited about my gown. It has so much symbolism in it. For anyone that doesn't know, my gown was inspired by the Mount Mayon volcano, which is located in my mother's hometown in the Philippines called Albay in Bicol. And for anyone who might not know, that earpiece, the ear cuff, I designed it myself. It's a tribute to the 3 stars in the Philippine sun on our flag, the Filipino flag. You know, I was so stressed backstage getting dressed for evening gown. Again, it was such a time crunch. We were just getting dressed madly backstage, getting into the gown. And then I wanted to change my lipstick color because I wanted a fiery red lip for my evening gown. And there's no light backstage. There was no mirrors. There was no lights. And I'm just there like holding my lipstick like, does anyone have a mirror? And then finally a cheat artist came up with a small compact and in like the dark of the side of the stage. I'm like crouching down while someone's fixing my hair. I'm like trying so hard to put a good application of lipstick because like if you do a bold red lip, you're gonna see if the application is crap or if you have it on your teeth or something, you know, but it turned out okay. Announcement of top 5, oh my goodness. Again, it's a 50% cut. It's crazy. And the caliber of the girls were just amazing. Really, like, I was in such good company up there. If there was any moment in my whole journey that I felt like, oh my goodness, this is destiny, this was one of them. Because out of all the top 5, everyone was in a neutral silver or gold bedazzled dress, and I'm the only one in color, and I'm announced in the middle. So like when it was top 5, there was just me in the middle in this bright red dress, and when I like looked around, I was like, oh my goodness. Like it was one of those moments that gave me goosebumps. Of course, I got the question about legalizing marijuana, what my opinion was, and I was, to be honest, I was quite scared of the question. Why? Because coming from the Philippines, we are not open to any sort of drug. So it was a very loaded question for a Filipina to answer. And so the first thing that I felt was like, okay, the less I say, the better. And so my answer was quite short. And that's why I got so nervous, because people who know me, they know I speak so much. And I had only said 2 sentences. And so when I had walked back after my top 5 Q&A, I was like, did I even say enough? Imagine this is the time I'm nervous. Like this is the first time during the whole night that I'm literally doubting if I'm gonna progress. And I got called first for the top 3. And so I'm incredulous. It's just insane. Top 3 of this universe. That's ridiculous. Honestly, I was the first one to be called up to answer with Steve. And so any thinking of like, how should I approach this? How should I deliver? Like it went out the window. So when I was asked the question, It was about a life lesson. So I thought instantly, like, what has changed my life? And it's really charity work that changed my life. And so when I started speaking, I don't think I even breathed. I just like kept talking and talking and talking. And so when I got to the end of my answer, I was like, thank you. I like ran out of breath already. And then it was my favorite part of the night, which is I'm gonna be able to walk with Neo. Okay, the reason that I fangirl so much over Neo is when I was around 14, 15 years old, I had a huge R&B music phase. So artists like Usher and Rihanna, and of course Neo, I was super, super in love with his music. It was practically the soundtrack of my 15-year-old self. And then of course I'm the first one out. And so if you look at my reaction and he puts out his arm and I was like, that's me not being able to control my fangirling. And then I toned it down eventually when I let go of him, and then I ramped. But before that, I was fangirling like crazy because I love Neo. And then I come down off stage because Tamarin and Stephanie are still going to walk out. I've done everything that I need to do, and now it's a Neo concert. So I was like singing along and I was dancing to Miss Independent, and I was just having so much fun because like at that point, like, what can I do? I've done everything that I could possibly do in the competition, and now it was just announcement time. And then guys, you know, I don't want to sound cocky in saying this, and it's not because I'm cocky at all, but like I just, when top 3, I wasn't nervous yet, just because I kept telling myself like, I am so grateful to be in the top 3. I didn't ever feel like, okay, they have to call me, otherwise I'm gonna be shattered, oh my gosh, I don't wanna lose. Like, I never had that kind of mindset. Like, I was like, you know what, I'm just grateful. Really, really grateful that out of 95 countries of amazing women, like, I'm in the top 3. So when I was standing there in top 2, there's always that whole pageant superstition of whoever has their hands on top is going to win. But it just so happened that me and Tamarin were already holding hands as we were standing next to each other. So then we went up to face each other. I was on top on one side and on the side of another, or practically. So we're practically half if you see our hands. And yeah, I don't know. It was crazy. The cameraman was circling us. The lights went dim. It's that music that just like makes you feel all the feels. And I don't know. I was just really grateful to be there. If you see my face, like, I'm not even nervous. I'm kind of just like, you know what I mean? It was weird. I can't even take myself back to there because it was like, how do you even process what's happening? But of course, when Philippines was announced, I didn't cry. I think because I was just so happy. And I was actually, what you're supposed to do when you win, we were told that you're supposed to walk on one side of the stage and then on the other and come back to center. I just kept walking because like my mind was blank. It was just, I couldn't process anything, but I just kept seeing all the fans and just hearing Philippines and seeing all the flags, and it was an amazing moment. You know, the time that I actually did cry and it did sink in, was when I saw my parents. My dad was practically speechless, like he couldn't get a word out, and my mom was just in tears. And she's like, I can't believe you did this, honey. I dreamed it would happen. I can't believe you did it. And that's the moment when I realized, like, oh my goodness, like, I just won Miss Universe. And then the moment when all the girls come and greet you. So I have 2 really good friends in the competition. It was Miss Sweden and Miss Denmark, and Helena and Emma. And like, they found their way to the front and they were just in tears, and that just made me like freak out too, because like, you know, that's what the competition represents. It's really sisterhood and coming together of amazing women. And to be able to share that moment with all of them was just fantastic. It's something I'll definitely remember for the rest of my life. It's so crazy to think that I've been Miss Universe now for almost 10 months. If you would have asked me 2 years ago or even 5 years ago, would I be here living in New York as the reigning Miss Universe, to be able to do everything that I've done, to be able to travel and represent an amazing brand and be able to work with great organizations that make such a contribution to their communities, I would have looked at you and been like, yeah, right. But to have given this amazing honor and opportunity to represent not only my country, but also in a way, I also represent all the 95 girls that I competed with. I'm a part of the legacy of Miss Universe that will continue to empower and uplift women from all around the country, from all different cultures. That brings us together, and that's really when women become their most powerful, when we work together.